The pawns are lining up. The knight's sleeping in his cups. The bishops can't agree to castle. The queen has not been around, and the king has largely been a hassle, quickly becoming capture bound. These are the serious matters of Chesstown. We have come to find the king and win the game. There is no time to play. Welcome to the No Time to Play podcast about board games, card games, video games, and all other stuff we don't have time to play, but seem to have time to talk about. I'm one of your hosts, Scott, and I'm joined by Matt.
Hello.
Tony.
Hi there.
And Shane.
Good evening.
The Len has escaped his cell that we keep him in, and he's gone off to the woods to commune with nature. So, good day to you all, gentlemen.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
All right. Matt. Okay, actually, I jumped ahead already. Today's theme is tactics or clever play. But before we get started, Matt, can you tell people where they can find our wonderful archive of previous content?
Well, Scott, they can see, or they can go to www.notimetoplaytoday.com, or you don't need to put the wwws in there either. You can just put notimetoplaytoday.com and it will work.
You don't know what kind of browser they're using.
No, it'll work. I'm pretty sure the internet said we don't need www anymore. But either one will work. Either way, you can do it. And you can also, if you want to see us, well, you don't see us, but you can see the videos on YouTube as well, on youtube.com/notimetoplaytoday, or you can listen to our audio podcasts at iTunes if you search the No Time to Play Today. And you can also, if you have a question, concern, or comment, you can do it either on our website or you can email at us at notimetoplaytoday@gmail.com. Also, please note, this is episode 20.
Oh.
Hey.
And I thought that was kind of cool.
Cue music.
20 episodes. I'll do that in post. And by do that in post, I mean I probably won't. But like,
we need to put some sort if you could do like I don't think I'm going to do it in post means I don't going to and put it into like a song app of some sort and make that the music song.
Oh, the actual song is called I Don't Have Time to Do This in Post.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt, for that, telling us where the stuff is and to remind us all that we have made it to 20 episodes.
Yay. Also, we've also just a few housekeeping things, not Skyping things. We also have part 2 of our No Man's Sky No Time to Play Through. Part 2 has gone up on YouTube, and it's also on the website as well. And also our industrious writer Scott has put up 3 articles
2
now.
Third article will come out this week. Or to you listening viewer, it will have come out in the past.
Oh, okay. Well, I said 3 articles because you did also write our nice little intro article as well, which I'm counting.
Okay, then 3 are out there.
So technically it's three articles. So yeah, we're actually a real website now. We're not just faking it. so
we are in, the 60% of the internet that is not faking it. I don't know how much of the internet is fake. A lot,
I don't know,
I guess.
According to my Facebook feed, a lot of
all right. Well, thank you, Matt. Okay, everyone, we have arrived in Chesstown, an eerie, symmetrical place on good days, but you very seldom travel in straight lines because that usually ends in tragedy. Everyone here seems to be changing their positions and are often asking you what team you're on and where you are going, usually in algebraic notation. So to start off this town of clever play, I thought we would start off by we wander over to the pawn shop, where they'll go to hopefully become knights, bishops, rooks, or queens. But that said, many of them just simply disappear. So I wanted to start the podcast with this discussion about those promoted, not the promoted pawns, but the ones that never join the greater game. So basically sad news about games that either have perpetually never come out that you've been excited about, or sad news about games that have come out that are dying. The one I have is sad news that
now
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just wondering if the games that you're excited about came out and like you weren't happy with.
No,
as well.
Far more tragic. Games that you're enjoying that have come out.
Oh, games that I love, but they're gone.
Like particularly online games. So for me, mine's a board game example. In the new, it's kind of a news item, but Fantasy Flight has and Games Workshop, I guess their business partnership has broken apart, and as a result, all the intellectual property that Games Workshop has is no longer being produced by Fantasy Flight. So it's had a huge impact on a bunch of board games like Fury of Dracula, which everyone has wanted for ages. Now finally came into print, and now it's gone. Some Talisman, a whole bunch of role playing games, but the one that's dear to my heart is Warhammer 40k Conquest, which was a card game that I was one actually good at, and two was enjoying despite the theme. So it only has a couple packs coming out, and then it is going to be gone. So that would be my sad news as far as a pawn that didn't make it, because again, the game also, out of all the card games that I play, it has been the easiest sell, despite the ridiculous theme. I managed to convince different people to try it out, and after like maybe half of the first game, they're like, "Oh, I get this. This game's kind of neat," versus other games that I have tried. So that would be my item. So I don't know who wants to go next.
Well, with Conquest, like we had our I think we've already talked about that, but we had our great game.
Oh yeah,
like it is really good.
Yeah, it's a really well designed game.
That being said, though, it's not like it's gone.
No, that's true.
Like you can still play.
Yeah, I actually think I'm going.
Like it's not like they're like Fantasy Flight. They're knocking on people's doors and saying, "I'm sorry, do you have to give your copy of Conquest back?" And Doomtown while you're at it.
Actually, that'd be Alderac asking for Doomtown back. But anyways.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Although you don't know.
Sorry, Internet.
You don't know that. Maybe Fantasy Flight would ask for it.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Actually, that'd be awesome if Fantasy
maneuver.
Flight should buy it. Fantasy Flight should buy that. But yeah, no, I am going to keep playing it. And honestly, unlike many of the card games, Warhammer seems pretty balanced. Like, yes, like certain strategies work a little better, but overall, it can be pretty close games with all factions meeting all factions. There's only a couple packs that I don't have, and I'll probably pick those up just so I have a fairly balanced card pool. And then, yeah, I think I'll try to, experiment with it. I haven't played with all the warlords yet. Like, that's actually the kind of nice thing about it, is that I'll be able to breathe for a bit. Like, I'll be, okay, now I can actually try all these different cards that have accumulated, because it happens so quickly. So there won't be all this, what's the latest hot stuff? It'll be more like, oh, I tried this instead, and that sort of thing. So... But that was mine. I don't know if you guys have more questions about that one, or if we want to move to somebody else's.
Well, I miss Shadowrun. We're still doing tabletop RPG stuff, but we don't play Shadowrun anymore. And I think it would be really hard to try and reboot a Shadowrun campaign or get something off the ground again, just because we simply don't have the time to do that and do the other stuff that we do anyway. So yeah, Shadowrun was like my first real experience into tabletop RPGs and role-playing in general, so I guess it kind of holds a special spot in my heart. And
yeah, it's in a weird place, because I know Catalyst Labs is a small publisher that has the most recent edition. I think they're like 6th or 7th edition, but
yeah, the game is still going in that respect, but just
I
not
think
having
it's much,
time to.
Yeah, I think it's much smaller than it was, though. Like you don't hear about it much, and other than that computer app that they built. But I think they were just building that so that they could build BattleTech. I think it was.
And then everything else that I'm finding game-wise online seems to be more like fan fiction. Like there's, I don't know. It just, Shadowrun has a real nostalgic feel to it. And for me to call up the guys and say, hey, we're playing Shadowrun, come on over. They're not coming over. So I'll never get to play.
I feel bad, because it's like, I was part of that show.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I mean. Like, we've moved on to other things. Like, we're having a great time with our D&D campaign, and when we do actually get a chance to sit down and play video games, it's awesome. We don't have that time to play it. But like you say, like with the other card games and that Conquest that you say, like the game will live on with the way the players play it. But it's just we don't have the time to play it, so it no longer exists. So.
Yeah,
I
so
think this
it's
just
like
got a little too
it's like
existential.
it's not necessarily gone. It's just it's gone in the minds of everyone. So it just kind of gets faded.
I feel
away,
Tony
right?
just
You're
raised
just
me.
the one by yourself.
I meet
We're
your card.
taking this to a new level.
I meet your half-hour card game that you can still play, and I raise you one RPG that I'll never be able to play. Well, I can't. I fold.
Next.
So, Shane, did you have one, or do you want to go ask Matt?
Mine's not as impressive. Mine was I was really looking forward to the I Am Setsuna game that was brought out in Japan on the PlayStation 4 and the Vita, but it only came to North America on PlayStation 4 and the PC. So
Yes.
I was very sad because it didn't come to the Vita, which is where I would want to play it.
That's still kind of sad.
Yes, that was mine. It's not as sad as, never being able to play Shadowrun again, because Shadowrun is awesome. And the reviews for I Am Setsuna were not quite as high as the most people were thinking it might be. So
yeah, I think people were thinking it's a return to form to like the traditional JRPG and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And even though that there's honestly that the two that have done that the best is Bravely Default and Neo Kuni. Those are the two, because those are the two different styles. Those are the ones that have really done it, and they thought that maybe I Am Setsuna would be another pillar to that. But the thing about I Am Setsuna is that it's actually a very depressing story.
Is it Shadowrun depressing?
Is
it that depressing?
I never found Shadowrun depressing. Maybe
it is
the
what
fact
you
that
make
we'll
it,
never
I
play it
guess.
again. But
it's
Shadowrun, I always thought was kooky. It was kind of a kooky thing because you have
it depends.
The
the overarching story of Shadowrun was quite grim. And then but then there was sort of a shift in direction, and I think maybe 4th edition or 5th edition, it kind of went more chaotic than depressing. Because in the 1st edition and 2nd edition, your characters are supposed to be living in radioactive slums that are beside Seattle's corporate metropolis, and there are unspeakable things that live in the slums around you and all that sort of stuff, and you're just trying to get out. It was not a but eventually the game kind of grew, and then all of a sudden people could be different types of things, and not necessarily quite as depressing as street punks looking for a better life. They kind of shook off some of the William Gibson Neuromancer stuff and kind of branched out.
Mm-hmm. But sorry, to get back to the I Am Setsuna thing, actually, Shane, I would say that the fact that I Am Setsuna is not coming to the Vita would almost mean that it's more so that the Vita is kind of a sad thing, that that is the perfect handheld that is dying but shouldn't. It's so good.
This is true.
That it's just more and more people are pulling out because it's got it's a snowball, right? It's not selling enough copies and stuff like that, so people's well, the install base isn't high enough, and so they're pulling out, right? But the more people that pull out, the less likely people will buy it. And so it's kind of sad that the Vita is it is the perfect handheld, in my opinion.
It is.
That is it is such a perfect handheld. It feels good. It's fairly powerful for the fact that it's a handheld, and it's so great. The screen's gorgeous.
I must confess, I'm surprised Sony just hasn't said put a bunch of money into a game, a franchise to popularize the Vita. To say, okay, what is our Mario going to be? What is our Pokemon for this machine? I'm surprised that maybe they are. Maybe somewhere.
I think Sony struggles with that in general. They don't really have a mascot. Like Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series. Crash Bandicoot was their mascot, and then they sold it to Activision. Mm-hmm. So that was only in the PS1 era that they had a mascot, and then they the PS2 they didn't need one, and then they never really got one. There's no real true mascot.
Well, Solid Snake, I would say.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
But even then, like that's over too, because it started coming out for the Xbox to a certain Metal Gear Solid 5 came out.
And now
for
I've
both,
heard
right?
that there's
So that's
some
not
tragedy
really...
that like they're making something set in the Metal Gear universe with zombies.
Yep, Metal Gear Survive.
Yeah, it's called Metal Gear Survivor.
That seems ill-conceived.
It looks as bad as it sounds. Like it's.
Wait. Are the zombies like gonna give political commentary? Is they're up on the fences?
Probably not.
No.
Actually, that would probably make it better.
Oh, big government is.
But it's not.
You know, you can't base your government on a watery tart throwing a sword at you or that sort of thing.
I didn't vote for you.
The best zombies. So we've totally gotten sidebarred. So we've got sad. So far we have a street samurai orc from space sitting in a cyberpunk pub, holding a Vita, being the saddest creature in the world. Matt, do you have anything to add to this?
With no one around him, because no one's around him to play Shadowrun. He has the Shadowrun books in his hands as well with the Vita. The Vita is like the bookmark to his like character page. But I'm gonna say something ever. That it's not something that is gone. But it's something that's going. Like, it's probably in the same vein as Conquest. Is that I'm gonna say Final Fantasy 11 because it's a game and it's 14 years old.
It's
now,
old.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And it's an online game, and like I still have a subscription to it because it's me, and I'm crazy, but I see that game and it's like the servers are like there's hardly anyone in it. It's a tall order to get anyone to play, especially because we have no time to play. In that game, you can require a lot of time to play.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, like even though the game is going and it's already gone, it's only available for the PC now. They actually shut down all the console servers. And
lights go out,
which is kind of
that's because it was for the PS2, and not many people are playing PS2s anymore.
Well, yeah, but the Xbox 360.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
they shut down as well.
But I think it killed everybody
the
on the
Xbox.
Like, hey, you want to wreck your Xbox? You should play Final Fantasy 11.
I totally broke my Xbox on that bad boy. But that was the best Siege match I ever had in my life. But...
He was like,
so okay, I need to tell this story.
Right, you tell the story. It's hilarious.
So there's this thing in Final Fantasy 11 in the third expansion pack. There's called Besiege, and what happens is you're part of this town, and these monsters come in and try to take over these crystal. I think there's like 2 crystals that they're trying to get.
It is a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, but it's basically a general call to arms that everybody in the town knew that this attack was going to happen, and anybody who went into a particular zone was automatically engaged into this battle.
Yeah, it was way ahead of its time. But the funny thing is I played on the Xbox 360 at the time. So, which it ran the game fairly well most of the time, but when a lot of things are happening, the Xbox kind of struggled with it. So we got to the point where my Xbox would crash every time. Every time things got a little heated up in it, it would crash. So I got to this grand theory of when we were protecting of it, and I was the tank too, so it sucked even more. Is that so we would fight off a few guys, and then I could there's telltale signs about maybe my Xbox is gonna crash.
Start getting glitchy,
and then so it would get a little glitchy. So what I would do was move my character to the corner and stare at the corner. Yeah. Because it's if I just stare at this corner, nothing's going on screen right now, even though it's all happening around me, and it worked.
Let his Xbox
and then
cool
it was
off a little bit.
Great, we ended up, we won the Besieged. I was like, oh, great, and before the reward got dished out, my Xbox crashed and red ringed. So I couldn't even go back on. I literally killed my Xbox on the first Besiege that I managed to actually make it through the whole thing.
And didn't get them.
And so I was like, oh man. So yeah, so it's
that
not. No one's gonna miss the lack of console
so
servers.
that pawn there didn't become a queen, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. It's long
All
gone.
right.
But yeah, so sorry to get back to the thing. The fact that it's a game and it's also a main numbered series of the franchise,
Mm-hmm.
it will eventually like not be around anymore. Now there is talk about like a mobile version of it, but it's not going to be the same.
A mobile
So,
version?
yeah,
How do you
that's
make a
kinda
mobile
sad.
version of 11?
There's
It would only run on the Samsung ones,
it's
those
been
giant
in-
mobile ones, the ones that are almost like tablet size.
Well, no, because I would say the like tablets these days are getting, and like Final Fantasy 11 didn't really break any graphic.
No,
graphical
I get
things,
that. I
right?
just
You
figured that
can-
it would be.
I think it's also being built from the ground up,
Mhm.
like for mobile, so they can. If you go with the right art direction, you can make a game
I wonder if there'll be some
not as
microtransactions.
graphically intensive. Probably, because that's where their mobile division's going, but that's a whole nother story.
All right.
So I'm gonna stop. We can stop and move on to the next
All
topic.
right. So we've had enough of this depressing, drab pawn shop where pawns are giving away their lives. So we've decided we've had our fill of this Dickens-like pawn shop. We've back out onto the street where out of nowhere we find ourselves beside a well-lit inn. And we are pulled inside by strangers and find ourselves in a huge, surprising, fun party. So this is the Night's Inn, a place of surprises. So this
This
was
is way better.
way better. So this is sort of
Yeah, it's so much brighter in here now.
games that have surprises sort of come out of nowhere.
I should have tavern music.
Yeah, well, that's your job, editor.
Yeah. It'll happen in post.
I'll do that in
So
post.
this is do it simple. So this is a place of surprises, sort of games since we've last talked that have come out of nowhere and we have found ourselves just enthralled with. So I don't know if anyone else wants to start. I have one to throw out if no one has one off the top of their heads. The one I had was the surprise for me was that I've heard a lot about this game called The Duelist, which they say is a better version of Hearthstone, but it's interesting. It has a lot more. It's a different look and different decision. So I went and downloaded. It's free to play, and I argue it's sort of a card game. Like you have like 40 cards, but essentially they're just they appear in little circles at the bottom. And it's more like almost like a Final Fantasy Tactics or a Disgaea where it's a 3-dimensional map and you have to move your units around on that map to take out the other guy,
I
basically.
like it.
And I've been really enchanted with it. Like it runs smoothly. You can quite easily get into play against other people. The 3D element of it just makes the game much more interesting and much more interesting decisions. You can just little things like you can take one of the 5 cards that you have at the bottom and you can put it in every turn. You can replace one of them. So if you can't afford it, you can just replace it and you get a randomly different card. The factions are interesting. They've got like a whole store with stickers and ways to get packs to improve your cards. But they also have a leveling system, so they look at where you are. So, for instance, I'm only in Bronze League, but I guess as you get better and the more cards you have, you get assessed and you get moved up accordingly into different divisions. And it has a whole thing about the lore of the world. Like you can listen to a bunch of this creepy old guy give this tale of all the 20,000 year of history of this planet where these guys are duking it out. So I don't know if anyone else has had a chance to check it out yet, but I highly recommend it. It is very unlike Hearthstone, which sort of just throws you in and it's just a card game, and I think we've discussed it on the podcast before. This one I found seems much more rich and well done. So
That's cool. I think you were talking about this before, but like where you can get it on Steam? Is that?
yeah, you can get it from Steam or I think Steam, and I think you can download it from the website, or the website sends you to Steam, and then it just launches, and then it has a couple daily challenges, which is I guess typical of these sort of games. But it also, the other thing I've did, it has the Hall of Champions, which are solo challenges where you have they set up the board and they say you have to defeat the other general in one turn. And so then you have to basically look at all the powers of the units you have on the board and where they can move, and you have to try to defeat them. And what I like about this is it gives you a chance to learn the game. Like you don't have to basically play against another opponent right away. You can just go through all these challenges and you learn how each of the different factions play, how the cards work with each, like how the game basically works. And so I've already finished. There's like 7 chambers that you go through, and I've completed all 7 of those chambers. And between that and the daily challenge, I've learned a lot of how to play the game from that, so that when I go into my matches, because you get rewards for playing so many matches a day, it's not as intimidating because I kind of understand the game. Versus Hearthstone, where I've just gotten slaughtered.
That's like that. That's great because that's like we talked about a long time ago about the multiplayer anxiety, right? Of like not knowing, but you're in a multiplayer match, so like you're just
I remember that.
Not if you don't know what you're doing, but you're expected to know what you're doing.
Yeah,
right?
Very first time I went into.
So it's good that they have
what was it? Old Republic. There was a PvP thing when you put on a team, and they're like, "Great, okay, so you just go out and do this." And like, I haven't a clue what you just said, but here I go. Support job, not a good tank. So I get to make an ass of myself in front of my friends and some people on the other side. So yeah, Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, so it's always good for a game to have like a great tutorial. I'll probably check it out.
I actually would recommend it to both. Well, I can't speak to Tony because I don't know how he feels about tactical. Like Shane and Matt should try it because it has, like, you guys like the Disgaea, you like the Final Fantasy Tactics, like you like those style games, and this is very similar to that, and it's just interesting.
Full disclosure, I probably only like the Final Fantasy Tactics because it's Final Fantasy. Not to be one of those guys. I also kind of like Disgaea too, but like I'm not
Disgaea 2 or Disgaea as well.
As well, Disgaea as well. I don't know. Well, Shane, what Disgaea would be a good one? Like, what's a good starter pack?
Well, for you, I would say go with Disgaea 5 because it's the one for the PS4, and it's generally regarded to be a good entrance. Because they.
Oh, really? Is it out already?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
it's been out for a while, almost a year now, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's on my birthday.
Okay, next time I see it in a flash sale, I'm totally picking it up.
It's one of the few video games on my birthday list, I think. But anyway.
Which yeah. All right, who else? Or were you done, Scott?
I don't know if anyone else had any questions about it. Shane, I know, doesn't have any questions because every day I send him an email with like, "Oh, I did this on Duelist," and he's like, "I'll check it out someday," and then pats me on the head and sends me on my way.
Well, for the Duelist thing, our homework for the next, not next time, but in a time in the future, we'll come back with a book report on the Duelist. Even if it's only a couple matches. I'll do the challenges and stuff like that. I might not do it. Can you choose?
You know what you need to do?
Can you pick, like, I play against you? I'm not going to play
against you. Yeah, you can play
you.
against friends.
Way better. Oh, yeah, okay.
But
all right.
The one thing you should do is listen to the lore, because that's what will suck you in. With the guy, like,
I do love
20,000 years ago, a mysterious asteroid hit the planet of Mithril, spreading chaos and cataclysms across the planet, like stuff like that. So,
yeah, I like it already.
Yeah. All right, that was mine.
Sweet.
Who's got a surprise?
Not me.
Oh, does that have to be recent?
No, mine happened to be recent, but I don't know about anybody else's. Oh, there's a lot of silence. Shane?
Well, I've kind of taken a hiatus all summer. I shut the internet off and I went and did all kinds of stuff. So there's really nothing I've done that's really wowed me in the last couple of months.
Other than not being on the internet.
Yeah.
Other than the game of life.
Yeah, I guess the thing that's the surprise experience that I've had this summer was probably at Fan Expo. Just I guess that would kind of count, right? Like, you guys were there playing your games, and there's all kinds of.
That counts.
At Fan Expo, I clearly missed that episode, but it was a great experience. I was really surprised at how Well, that was my best experience ever in Toronto. That was the coolest experience I've ever had in downtown Toronto. Normally, I'm terrified to be down there, but this time, like, I had random people like tapping me on the shoulder, "Hey, can I have your photograph? You look awesome." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Talking to strangers in Toronto, cool. Never happens. So I was really, I really enjoyed that experience, and I'm looking forward to kind of replicating that in future adventures. But yeah, that was my big surprise.
Now the question is, will you be the doctor every time you go, or do you have to?
I don't know, because
the crazy thing is that you have a great pool to go from because there's like so many
exactly,
different doctors,
yeah. So I know that Scarlett's talking about doing Voltron. She would love to put together a Pidge outfit, and we ran into a Pidge cosplayer just at the very end of Sunday afternoon, and she gave us a lot of ideas as to how to put one together, and that kind of sparked her interest. And then she started naming off all the different costumes that we could have. So we've got a whole year to think about it. But yeah, I don't know if I would go with Doctor Who all the time, every time, or if I'd shake it up a little bit. But definitely enjoying the cosplay end of it.
It would be interesting to see the different people, like, cause like it's cool because it's like there's like the thing about Fan Expo is that there's so much, there's much different going on, so much different stuff that's going on that like it would be interesting to see. It's like you went as Doctor Who character as the Doctor, and so you get a certain clientele like to like talking to you and stuff like that. It would be cool to see. It's like, well,
yeah, kindred spirits. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, the Doctor Who fans
that you like, and then you get a different.
Yeah, the Doctor Who fans really gravitated towards each other.
Well,
like
the thing I find interesting about the cosplay is that I like the people that you can kind of tell the people who are like, I'm going to try. There's almost like a hierarchy where there's like people who are like obscure characters done really well, and then there's people that.
That's what I would go for.
Yeah.
Since I wanted to do Sid from Final Fantasy IV, like I'm sure there would be like one or two people that might see, but those people would be super excited to see.
I would be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a whole realm of culture that I'm not familiar with. Like I follow a couple on Twitter and on YouTube just to see like the design elements of it, but it seems very fascinating. Like,
yeah, see, I did no research at all. I just loaded like, I'm going to dress like Peter Capaldi and dye my hair gray and walk around in a pair of shades, and everyone loved it. So I accidentally nailed it.
Yeah, good job.
So I might not,
you really did.
I might not be so lucky next time, but yeah, there were definitely a lot of people. You can definitely tell who put a lot of thought, energy, and money into their costumes. And then other people that just strapped on a cool T-shirt and away they go.
Yeah, so. It reminds me of the miniature war gamers. Like the joke they always say about miniature war gamers is that they're the happiest people at the game shop, and they're not even playing games because they just sit there and paint the figurines, and they talk with each other like, well, how'd you make your paint, and how did you make your castle? Oh, I made it out of styrofoam and cardboard, or oh no, I use this. And like all the prep work is probably the most exciting part, and I feel that would probably be part of it with cosplay as well. It's just the design.
The Pidge girl, she gave us great details, and she's like, as soon as I get done here, I'm taking this costume home and disassembling it and rebuilding one from scratch.
So it was like battle armor Pidge?
Yeah, battle armor Pidge. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It wasn't casual.
But like she had like LED lighting built into the collar and the shoulders, and
oh wow, yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, it was really cool, very fascinating. So it definitely piqued my interest. But now I'm back to the grind, right? Like you don't have time to time and money to throw at making costumes.
I picture a future thing. Dreams of cosplay.
Dreams of
that'll be his contribution to the website. It'll be like. I was working hard at the grind today, and I had a dream about, and then like discussing how to design.
Okay, all right. The meta tags for this web story would not be good.
Oh yeah, I know.
Working down at the grind.
That's Matt's job. It's Matt's job. It's Matt's job to do all the pictures. You just be like, oh yeah, today, Matt, I thought about this.
Oh
and
God.
Write it up. Like, yeah, just put these photos in for me. And Matt will be like, I don't even know who these are.
I'm actually getting stressed out just you talking about it.
Do it, Matt, Tony. So,
but I would have to say that Tony did Fan Expo right. Like obviously we had a great time too, but I think that we would probably have a better experience for how we did Fan Expo. We would probably have a better experience. Hopefully, there's another convention in March, I think it is.
Yes, there was rumblings. People were mentioning that
Breakout Con, I think it is, and
I
it seems much more inclined to the way that we used to do Fan Expo, which is to go and play the different games and stuff like that. So I feel that if, like, I'm solely interested, I'm totally down, I'm going to do that, and we're going to do that the way that we do it, but I'm still thinking about, obviously I'm going to go to Fan Expo because it's such a great experience, but I think I'll do it the way Tony did it this year.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be, it'll be a different experience in going and talking to people and being dressed up and just being in the moment of doing... of just celebrating your nerdom.
Oh yeah,
I think that's
Fan Expo is definitely more of a walk around than a sit.
Exactly, yeah. But there was definitely a time and a place for that. Like Saturday was packed. Like I snapped a picture when we were traveling from building to building, and there was probably 70,000 people in that building. Yeah. It was just unreal. And you see those people like dressed up as like their favorite Warcraft character or whoever, and they've got these like gigantic foam swords and giant shoulder armors, and they're walking through Artist Alley. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, oh, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me. Ooh, I really like this bauble. This is really cute. How much is this? And it just looked ridiculous. It's like if you're gonna shop, you gotta disassemble and go in your casual garb. But
yeah, that's
no disassemble.
No disassemble.
Now that's a cosplay. If you could pull off Johnny Five, that'd be the best. All right, Shane, what surprised you recently, or not recently?
Recently, what surprised me was this series that I was told about on Netflix called The Bridge. And it's it's an international show. It's based around two cities, one in Sweden and one in Denmark. And
I've heard of this one.
It's the tale of there's a murder that happens on the bridge between the two, right on the dividing line. So there's a detective from both sides who go and they have to work together to start solving this murder, and it spirals out from there. And it's just quite interesting because it's, a different style from what we normally see from a North American show. And so I've been really enjoying it.
The Nordic noir stuff is quite interesting. Like I've read, like, I mean, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was the one that started it, but there's been so much since then that there's a lot of good stuff as well. So, although I've heard a friend of mine, mentioned, she said that when she talked to someone from Norway, and she said the problem is that you guys only get the good stuff. So you think like, why is all this stuff Norway, like mystery novels, so good? It's like because they don't export the crappy ones. So like the bridge gets over here because like there's like that's actually the same thing with manga. Like when I was olden times when things were black and white and dinosaurs roamed the earth. In the olden times, like they only brought over the best manga. Right, so like the best manga, the best anime was what we saw. Wow, and
what Astro Boy? I don't know if that's the best manga.
Oh, hey, don't be dissing Astro Boy fundamentally changed the way people drew comics and cartoons. Like that whole Japanese animation style. Like before that, it was all like Mask. Remember Mask and like
I remember Mask. I went as Mask for Halloween one year.
Yeah, Transformers and all those like that Western stiff or selling toy style. Like Astro Boy was completely different. So
yeah, he wasn't.
I
disagree with you, sir.
Okay.
I can only remember the Astro Boy theme, and I remember it being really awesome. So I'm not gonna watch it ever again because in my mind it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like I'm never watching Transformers cartoon again because in my mind it's awesome. I made the mistake with He-Man.
Yeah, I did that too.
I watched it a couple years ago and I was like, why did I ever watch this show?
See, this is why I'm the guy who draws. I actually don't mind watching He-Man because I find it fascinating, and Hercules, because to see the animation, like the fact that Hercules, I can tell what part is still painted and what part has been like put on top so that they can animate it. Like,
yeah. Hercules, it was very obvious about that. But Hercules is it's even older than He-Man.
Oh
yeah.
Right? Like it was from
the 70s. He-Man, the Tarzan and the Lone Ranger, like all three of those I still like to watch just because of the limitations that they faced with the technology, the way they animated it is just
Yeah.
I still find that fascinating. The writing, I admit, is ridiculous, but again, it's targeted for a younger audience, so I watch it from an aesthetic standpoint. What I can't watch is Spider-Man.
Oh, that one's a tough one to watch.
The original,
Like the 60s
yeah, the
one?
'60s one. In my head, it was so amazing, but then I watch it and I'm like, the intro is great and like the setup is great, but then like there's the storylines are surreal. Like someone's like that's something. Like I don't understand.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of trippy stuff in that show.
Yeah, there's a lot of trippy stuff. So, well, I think we've had our fun.
Well, no, Matt.
Sorry, Matt hasn't done one.
Matt hasn't done one.
No, I haven't done one. I actually been really struggling to figure out, but I'm gonna do one that I've just scratched the surface on. It's a game that actually Tony recommended a while back, and I played it a little bit on Steam, but then it came out for the PS4, so I got it for the PS4 because I love trophies. And it's called Jetan.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Jetan.
Jetan. Jetan.
Yeah.
And it's you play a warrior that died, like a Norse warrior that died in a storm. But that is not an honorable death, so you couldn't go to Valhalla. So you have to prove to the gods by doing all these crazy and killing these crazy monsters and stuff like that that you're worthy to go. And so I've just scratched the surface. I've just gotten to like the first boss with the vines and stuff like that. But I'll tell you, that game's animation is like
you'll enjoy it.
Super stylized. That's a game.
How do you spell it?
Jotun.
Yeah.
It's a game that like you can play a decade from now and it'll still look beautiful just because the way that it's animated.
Oh yeah, they've got it looks pretty.
Yeah.
It's like, and the way it moves and stuff like that, it kind of reminds you of kind of like the older animation style, like
reminds me of Bastion actually.
Well, Bastion a little bit, but I'm trying to think of like the old
cartoon, the Disney old stuff, like Sword in the Stone,
like Heavy Metal.
Oh, Heavy Metal might be a good one,
yeah.
Norse Vikings and Heavy Metal.
Yeah, but like
that would fit.
It's really cool, and it has great lore to it and stuff. Like it's like based off Norse mythology and stuff like that, which is always fascinating because it's like, you know, I think Norse mythology in the next decade is going to become like in a lot more video games, just because I guess they use Greek mythology too much, so now everyone knows it. So now it's like if we do Norse mythology,
but see, Norse mythology fits the video game mindset, right? The video game mindset is you need to have conflict, and like out of all the mythologies, it is the most
Norse has the most.
Well, there's a lot of conflict, right? So, and also,
that's true.
But okay, cool. All right,
that's a good pick, Matt.
Good pick, Matt.
Oh, thanks.
Good job. What a great way to finish.
Good. Actually, you know what? We all did well.
We all did well.
We're all doing.
We had a great time here. So even though we've had tons of fun at the Night's Inn with wonderful food and fancy footwork, we can't help but find ourselves gazing out the window, looking out at the silhouettes of the Bishop's Rookery, the looming stone towers that, despite our best efforts, haunt our dreams. So this is just a quick one. Mostly, this is a way so Matt can do his Final Fantasy bit, but there's sort of games that you just that kind of sit in your brain. So, Matt, would you like to do anything for Final Fantasy? Because this is your chance.
It's like, well, yeah, Final Fantasy honestly will always be in my dreams. I'm like, to not get into the next topic too much. I can't stop thinking about Final Fantasy 15. Like I'm like consuming not like spoilers, but like consuming every thing that comes out. Like they had an anime, they had the pretty much like their marketing push for this game. I'm totally eating up big time. Like I want more, and I just want to play the game. I took a week off work. I can't wait for this thing. But yeah, so Final Fantasy is really just.
Are you doing the math already?
I don't even know why.
Do you have like a whiteboard and you have like strategies and arrows and like
no, I just want to take a week.
You're just like, okay, we'll attack it on the head and do this point damage.
All right, no, not that. It like, and this is gonna sound very like almost like artsy fartsy, but I actually like the week before, maybe even longer before it comes out. I'm actually gonna stop doing Like, I listen to a lot of like video game podcasts and stuff like that. I'm actually going to stop listening to that stuff for a little while before the game comes out. And then while the game's out, I just want to play it. I just want to experience it like raw without anyone saying anything about the game. Like anyone, I just want to experience. I want it to be me and how I feel about it, because even though like it doesn't matter, like even if someone says, oh, this game's great or this game's terrible, that affects your judgment of the game, in my opinion. Because it's like, if someone says, oh, I didn't like it because of XYZ, you might say, oh, I like it though, I like this XYZ, but the thing is, it's like you're thinking about
XYZ and not ABC.
Yeah, you're not thinking about the game, you're thinking about, it's like, oh, this person's right or wrong. So I that's what I'm doing. I'm going to media blackout beforehand, and then while I play it, I'm just consuming the whole thing. And I gave myself a week because I'm assuming I could beat it in a week. And then after it's done and after I've experienced it, then I'll go back to the normal life. But yeah, that's me. I love Final Fantasy. I can't explain it. It's blind love. I don't care if everyone hates it, but I hope no one hates this one, because I feel like maybe this is going to be the one. Well, because the problem with Final Fantasy is that it had a little switcheroo, and so Final Fantasy 12 suffered from it for a bit when Sakaguchi left, and then there was director changes and stuff like that. Managed to stumble through, and it was okay. Then they had a real big problem with the Final Fantasy 13 series, and they had a guy going in one way off into the different direction that a lot of people didn't like. It still did okay mainstream, but like for like a Final Fantasy fan, people didn't like it. Then Final Fantasy 14's version 1.0 was a disaster because it was like the old guard. The old guard felt that it was like, this is the way it's going to be, even though like the ship was going in one direction, it was the wrong direction, but it was too big and bloated to move, so it kept going in that direction.
Was it just was it gameplay? Like I know you're saying, like you've alluded to it before.
Well, Final Fantasy 13 suffered a little bit from it was described as linear, which is kind of a bogus statement, because all of them are kind of linear.
Well, not all of them, but a lot of them are. Yeah.
A lot of them are, yeah. Like the problem with like it, there's a few criticisms that come with 13. They have a very heavy on the story. Like the story is like, you have to like, it's a kind of jarring because you really have to get into the lore before you can kind of understand the story of what's going on. I think we talked about this in an earlier podcast, But if you read all the data logs and all that stuff, but a lot of people don't do that. But it had some complaints about that the game took a long time for it to really get into it, because like the whole joke was that its tutorial was about 20 hours long, and that
when really it was really 33. But let's
Yeah, well, because a lot of people would say, well, the game doesn't truly start until they go to what's that? Where it opens up in the fields. Shane, you would know this.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank right now, but
L-Seed, I want to say L-Seed.
What's the question? Sorry?
Fel-Seed. There's a place where the game actually opens up, and you're actually in an open world-ish.
Openonia?
No. Grand Pulse.
Free.
Grand Pulse. That's correct. That's right.
Sorry, just took me a minute.
Yeah, so... But it even went worse, like with like 14, because like version 1.0 was it was a broken game. It wasn't even the fact that, like, you say what you want with Final Fantasy 13. The game was beautiful. It had like it worked as a game. Like, you might not like, maybe you didn't like the gameplay or you didn't like the story, but it was a fully fleshed out world and everything was there. But the problem with 14 is that the game was actually just broken. Like it was borderline unplayable. Like, even for me, a guy that blindly loves Final Fantasy, I was like kind of heartbroken about it. But then that's when they changed everything. Like that's where that's where they's like, okay, we got to get rid of the old guard. Here comes the new guard. The guy that Yoshi P, I can't remember his last name. We just call him Yoshi P. He came and he fixed it. Like he literally split his team into two, and he's like, one's making a new game and the other's making the 1.0 version playable, essentially, like kind of fixing it and stuff and stumbling along at, like, for the people that are still dedicated and still playing it. Then they rebuilt it, made it Realm Reborn, and then it started doing great. And that is why, in my opinion, that Final Fantasy 15 has taken so long to get here, because essentially it's been a decade, because Final Fantasy Versus 13 was its original title, and it was supposed to be part of that universe. But that it was having development trouble then. Then Final Fantasy 14 came out and it was disaster, so that whole team went over to help fix it. And then when it came back, the PS3 was pretty much like, you know, getting into its twilight years, so they decided it's like, well, we'll switch all these assets over to make it Final Fantasy 15, and we'll make it for the PS4. And so now that's why it's essentially it kind of stopped production and then rebooted production. So that obviously takes long.
And they brought in a new director for it as well.
They brought and the guy, the Tabata who did Crisis Core, which is a great game, and I can't remember the other one.
Type
did.
Zero, right?
But yeah, no, I think that was somebody else. But anyway, sorry. What do you guys love?
What haunts your dreams? It's like he's this man just bursts.
I think I got possessed there, guys. I don't know what happened.
He bursts in and he's like screaming about banshees and terrors in the night, and then he sits down and he's like, "So what's bothering you guys?"
I don't know if it's bothering me, but I've certainly been having some very happy dreams recently about Age of Empires 2.
Oh yeah, what a great
yeah! I can just dream in Age of Empires 2. You know, like we just started playing it again for some reason. I don't know why it just jumped into our heads. Like, hey, let's play AOE 2, and we have Matt and I, and then our friend John. He's been we've been 3-player co-op against some pretty challenging computers, but it's just.
Is it all war? I'm sorry, it's been a while since I played it. Is it one that's mostly war, or is it more like?
Yeah, it's RTS
predominantly,
style.
But there's other styles of victory. Like, for example, you can get all 5 relics and hold on to the relics until the counter. Like, you have to hold them for 400 years or something, and like a year is like 5 seconds or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or you build a wonder and keep it defended for
1,000 years or something. Yeah.
Years.
So tall orders when people are motivated to knock your wonder over or burn your monastery to the ground to get your relics out, then it makes it a lot easier to just go with a military victory. But definitely have options. But it's an old game. It's very basic. It's like I want to say first generation RTS, but I'd probably say second gen.
Yeah, it was probably second gen.
I heard an interesting article, oddly, about Doomtown, but they say they did a tangent onto real-time strategy games, and they talk about, now you guys play more than me, that there are sort of 3. There's like a paper scissors rock strategy. There's a paper scissors rock component of it. So there's turtling, aggro, and they called it boom, which I guess is like combo. Like, so basically, turtle guys are like, they build a bunch of defensive units and they just sit there, hunker down to survive. Aggros build a bunch of attack stuff to go as quickly as they can to go punch the other player. And the combo person is sort of doing, building various units that allows them to build up to something big that allows them to knock people out. And the reason they brought this up for a card game is that in card games, the boom tactic would be changed with combo. Like, if you have a combo deck, you're waiting for certain cards to come out and play them in a certain order so that you can make a mega combo that takes out your opponent. And then aggro beats boom, and boom beats turtle, and turtle beats aggro, I think is how it sort of works. So is that your experience as well? Like, and I'm interested what type of strategies each of you use.
Well, we all play different civilizations for different reasons, and good reasons, but just not, you can only play one at a time, right, I guess. So I'm very partial to
Speak for yourself.
The Spanish. I will. because I will. So take that. The Spanish get gunpowder units, and on top of that, they're also their special unit is a horseback gunpowder unit. So they're fast, they hit hard, and they're well. Once you're into the later stages of the game, they're fairly easy to produce. Another special unit they have is a horse. I guess a donkey back priest. I think it's like a Jesuit priest or something, which is basically a mobile healing unit which travels at the speed of a horse. So they're a lot faster to move in and out. So I guess with that strategy that you're mentioning, I'd fall into the aggro stage, where you just build your defenses enough to get to the end game units that you want, and then you just start pounding at them with these units, and then eventually they run out of builders, so they run out of stuff
rush,
to throw at.
Like you're sort of rushing with the Spanish, is that?
Yeah. Yeah, they're fast and hard. Like I tend to get wiped out, but I can do a lot of damage with the very few units that I can build really quickly. Where Matty, he usually sits behind 2 or 3 layers of walls.
He's a turtler.
Well, I'm a turtler, and then I turn into a boom.
Exactly. Yeah, it just hits critical mass, and then he's like, okay, all right, I've maxed out all the resources I can get. I've maxed out everything. Now it's time to max out the population with military units. And
yeah, because what I usually do is I play the Britons, and they have the longbowman as their special unit. So I have crazy range. So what I usually do is I get my siege in the back, and then I got my longbowman, and then I upgrade all of them stuff. So I got flaming arrows and stuff like that. And then I put pikemen in front of them. And then, so pretty much the strategy is that I slowly but methodically move into an enemy base and destroy everything. So the siege are destroying the buildings. The longbowmen are destroying all the units, and the only things that can the only thing that can get to my army in time before the longbowmen take them out are
horse units,
cavalry, which the pikemen have an advantage against.
Yeah.
So as soon as the cavalry get there, the pikemen just throw up their pikes, and it gets rid of them pretty much instantly. So
there's, I guess, just thinking about it now, Scott, you're looking at those 3 units, the paper, rock, scissors. On both a macro and a micro level, because each individual unit will be particularly skilled at taking out one unit, but particularly vulnerable against another. So the pikeman would be good against the horse units, but he would be very susceptible to the archer unit, who would be susceptible to the horse unit that is susceptible to the pike unit.
Yeah, and that's why, it's very... it's very good in that way, and Siege is good again. Even Siege has different things. Like there's the ballistas, and then there's the catapults and trebuchets,
battering rams, and scorpions,
and battering rams, and they all have different functions as well. So I only really build the trebuchets. I don't really dabble with the other stuff because my longbowmen kind of make up for. Because the catapult, what they'll do is they'll shoot out, and they could carpet bomb an area, and that takes out a lot of dudes, But I find that if I just have longbowmen, it's okay. I don't really need
that. And I was asking John the other night when we were playing who he chooses and why, and he chooses the Chinese because they get 3 extra workers off right at the beginning of the game, which completely changes his entire economy. Because just depending on how much money and food and resources you can amass, but if you've got 3 extra workers right off the bat, you're changing the whole equation right at the beginning. So he does very well on the economic side of things. Maybe not so much militarily, but definitely once his economy was established very early in the game, he had no problems with resources. So there's so many different little nuances to this game and so many different combinations and variations to play. It's something that we never get tired of playing, and it just gets stuck in my mind. So
yeah, even if it could be gone, like we hadn't played for probably not quite a year, but it was out of our minds for a while, and then all of a sudden it's like, let's play that again. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
So what about Shane? I don't think you've...
Trying to think. I'm kind of fickle. Like my mind jumps to whatever game I've been playing lately. So for me, the one that I was mostly recently on my mind all the time was Grand Kingdom.
Yeah.
Because I was planning out, what kind of classes I wanted to make my party and how I was going to level them up and what skills I wanted to get onto my party members. And so I had a lot of fun with that. That game I had a lot of fun with.
Cool.
So that was on my mind for a while.
There you go.
Nice.
Mine's Netrunner, which I feel I discussed. someday that game will make sense. Well, actually, that and Star Wars, the two games that I feel someday will make sense to me.
Star Wars?
Yeah, the Star Wars, the card game. But I've discussed that enough, and I think we should move on, unless anyone else has anything they'd like to add to this section.
No.
Yeah, because I mean, I could discuss Netrunner, but we all know how I have a love-hate relationship with that game. So someday it'll be clear in my head.
That game truly hunts my name.
It's just, I think it's gonna work, and then it doesn't work, and I think it's gonna work. But I've actually posted an article about it up on our website. But anyway.
Ooh, nice segue.
Nice segue. So we're gonna move to our
that website again, Matt.
Oh yeah, what's the
is notimetoPlayToday.com.
There you go.
Oh, and
or you throw some W's.
No. Point of interest. I've checked out Internet Explorer. You don't need the W's. I've checked out Chrome. You don't need the W's. I checked out Safari. You don't need the W's. If you're using some other internet browser, you're weird.
Yeah.
Well, Firefox is pretty popular.
Is it? Okay. Well, then I don't have that one. So
all right,
check it out.
Shane, you most likely have that one, so you can check it out. See.
All right.
I'm not on my computer right now, but
we're gonna wrap up, guys, with our typical cleanup. What game we're excited about that we're gonna try before the next podcast.
One.
So the game that I was excited that just came out this week for Vita is The Darkest Dungeon, which Tony talked about before, playing on PC.
Brutal game. Enjoy it.
But the thing is, PlayStation Network has now factored in the poor Canadian dollar into its prices. Yeah. So the game that was listed as $24.99 on the Canadian version of the store is like almost $35. I'm like, I don't know if I feel like paying that much for a game that is that hard that I don't know how long I would play. So
sucking.
I have not pulled the trigger on that one yet. Instead, I started a visual novel called Steins Gate, which is my first visual novel. So I'm just getting into it, and it's pretty interesting, and I'm excited to see how it works out.
Very cool. Yeah, Darkest Dungeon is a really interesting game, and it's very punishing and very grueling. So make sure that the price point is right before you commit yourself to that kind of self-hatred.
Yeah, like if I could get it for $25, I'm like, that's a little on the high side, but I was still willing to go for it. But $20 is what I was looking for.
Yeah. I think I got it like $11 or something on Steam Summer Sale. So it was a good deal when I picked it up. So. Yeah,
so if it goes on sale for $20 or less, I will probably pick it up for sure.
Definitely.
I feel like that's something that, because PlayStation does all those flash sales. Like, I feel like it will be on there.
Yeah, at some
maybe
point.
Not,
yeah, put it on your
maybe
wish
not
list.
this year, but yeah.
When I turned my computer back on, I don't know how recently this got done, but BioShock and BioShock 2 have been remastered. So I have installed those, and I'm going to play through them in their remastered states. That's what I'm
nice
too.
Nice. I hear that it's quite like obviously the style of BioShock kind of it already looked good, but apparently this remake or remaster has been it looks really, really good.
Yeah. All right. Something to look forward to, definitely. But yeah. BioShock.
Nice. Scott, what? BioShock.
I'm actually looking forward. Actually, do you have one, Matt? Because I'm sorry, I've totally lost my train of thought.
Well, I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy 15. I don't know if you guys heard of it or anything. I might have
listen,
been possessed and talked about it.
Talking about these obscure indie art games that you want to play.
But I'm also excited for World of Final Fantasy, if that helps at all, which is kind of like, that's a game that's pretty much designed for me. It's a game that just has like references to all the Final Fantasies, but it's done in this like kind of funny, cute, like kind of way to do it and stuff. So it's total fan service, but I don't care. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm totally looking forward to that one too, because that one is actually coming out for the Vita. So
hey,
the Vita's not dead yet, just very slowly dying.
That one, and one that I might check out, but I'm not 100% sure on, is Dragon Quest Builders.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's like the Minecraft /
yeah, it's Dragon Quest,
or Dragon
their
Quest.
version of Minecraft, but it's actually got a story that you can follow, and you have to build stuff for the story. So that's what interested me, because
that's kind of cool.
If I went into Minecraft, I would have no idea what I would want to do, and I would just stall out. So
yeah.
Because that was always my problem in school. If someone said, "Oh, do a project and pick your own topic," I would agonize for days over what my topic would be. I'm like, "Can you just tell me a topic and then I'll go and do a good job?" Because if you just say you can do anything, I freeze, because I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. What if I pick the wrong thing?
There's so many things.
I could pick something, and then if they could do something better, I don't know. So, but if someone says, "Oh, here, go do this," then I'm like, okay, I'll go and I'll do a great job on that.
So I'm amazing.
Yeah,
I know.
No, exactly, just because if I'm task oriented, so if someone says, "Here's a task," I'll go and do it. Or someone says, "Oh, just do whatever you want," I'm like,
yeah,
and I freeze.
I think you would benefit from like a multiplayer Minecraft session.
Oh yeah,
maybe,
because I find we have a realm that which I have.
Yeah, we've kind of taken hiatus, but I'd love to get back on there and kind of start a new little community or whatever, because we were building a really cool town there, and then I just kind of, every time I'd get in there and I'd start building something, I would stall out for one thing or for one reason or another, and I just haven't gotten back into it. But
I think it's this because like people, like when you have a group of people and it's like, okay, let's build this, and like everyone will build something to help that, right? Like
contribute to a greater
Tony was dealing with our food situation, so like he would be in the farm town and just build all that stuff, right? And then I was the miner guy, and I would build all the stuff like for the mines and stuff like that. And then John was, he was the engineer, so he would build all these.
He built a functioning gate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, here, push this button.
So like
the door opened.
And
like, awesome.
It was so funny though, like to watch him do it, because it was like, it is a lot hard. Like it is super hard, and all it is a gate, right? But like. It's cool because it's like when you play with multiple people, then it's like you kind of almost inspire each other to do different things, right? So, but yeah, no, but Dragon Builders is great for like a single player experience, and the art style is very similar to, it's like a spruced up Minecraft essentially.
Yeah,
like a cell shaded Minecraft, right?
Cool.
Scott?
The only one
we vamped a bit. Can you?
The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is there's a new game called Innis coming out, and
that sounds really familiar.
It is a war game that is not. It's like a typical like exploring, trying to take over control of area, but you're all in the same place at the same time. So it has a weird majority control thing too, but there's fighting. It's all based on Celtic mythology, and it's very hard to explain. But it just seems very fascinating because, like, for instance, you could say, "I'm going to have a fight with you," and you'd be like, "No, I'm not going to fight you," and then you get stalled out, and it's all card driven. It's kind of like Blood Rage in that way. Like you have a bunch of cards, and your cards determine actions and stuff. but it just seems really neat, and the Celtic mythology seemed kind of interesting as well. And unfortunately, at this hour,
because that's actually Celtic mythology is not really something that's tapped into very often.
no, sometimes, but yeah, I think I agree. You're right. Like I think the Norse,
not as common as the other ones.
not as common as Norse.
Or Greek.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple games that are already out. Like I still want to play the Gallerist, and I would still like to try, to finish some games that I have and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say Innis would be the one game. Castlevania, I've taken a little break from that because I'm doing Braid now because I'm really close to being done Braid, which is an old game that I've never finished. So I'm going to finish that up because, I'm in the lead right now in the No Time to Play board game group thing, video game completion, which is quite alarming, to be honest. I'm quite concerned.
Doesn't the website look really good, though?
It does.
Sorry?
The website looks good, and like that D&D campaign is doing great that I'm doing, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not disputing that. I just said it's quite weird for me to be in the lead. I assume all will come right with the world soon because you guys are all starting.
I can't do it. I can't deal with him being in the lead. I gotta do something.
I was gonna say I'm surprised I've lasted as long as I had.
Has anyone played Batman: The Telltale series at all? Chapter 1 or 2.
I played episode 1 and it was awesome. Episode 2 is out now, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet. But yeah, it's I also love Telltale. I would say no. I didn't.
You were gonna say it. Follow through.
No, I was gonna say I probably
it's time
love it
to wrap up. Next week we'll find out if Matt really Matt. But I think we've talked enough. Is there anything else you guys want to wrap up with before we call her a day?
No,
I'm his brother. I totally saved him right there, just so you know.
Yes, good save.
Yes. Nicely done.
It's been a wonderful conversation, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
All right. You are surprised that the king was not in town. As the sun rises and you make your way out onto the king's road, you're surprised to see him walking ahead of you. You quickly catch up and cannot help but ask him why he's not in Chesstown. Why, it's the most dangerous place for me, the king explained. A king is safest when he's not on the board. You want to disagree, but he raises his hand. Come, put away your openings and closings, your mid games and your gambits. There's so much to see out here. There is no time to play.